Sea of Stars. Bro, what the fuck?
Please subscribe, guys.
First things first, I do want to point out that this is a kind of a retrospective review discussion on various things regarding Sea of Stars. In this video, we'll be discussing the evolution of the mechanics found in the game from an earlier video I made, how it kind of feels to play through, and if it holds up and keeps the player interested until the credits roll. This retrospective review is after finishing the game and kind of letting it sit with me for a few good days. I also do want to mention that I did make a first impressions preview video that is a completely spoiler-free video, and I highly recommend you go check that out before watching this one, or in general if you just don't want to be spoiled regarding this game. With that being said, this video is gonna dive absolutely headfirst Michael Phelps style into review territory because there's certain aspects in the game that do need to be discussed. This is your warning to maybe hold out on watching this if you don't want to know what happens in the game further on. You have been warned, my broski. Now, Sea of Stars. Bro, what the fuck? You know when post-nut clarity hits and you're just sat there at the edge of your seat or bed or wherever you just busted a nut and you're just there wondering what life is. I feel like that's what it's like with Sea of Stars, bro. What an interesting playthrough. At the start of the game, you really see so much potential in combat mechanics, art style, and storytelling, and I do have to say, after the playthrough, which I originally thought keeps a good pace going, ends up being quite the slow build-up. Now the story starts off all calm and nice, with you as one of the two new Solstice warriors given the task of killing the final big evil spirit. The game gives you this idea that this is the actual story to be played, so you set out into the world and start bumping into smaller story segments, and it kind of works as a regular run-of-the-mill RPG, whereas you have this big goal to achieve, and on the way to that goal you go through smaller stories and characters. The pace is calm and it doesn't take itself too seriously. Where the game switches up though is when you finally make it to the end of your main objective. This happens at around the 10-ish hour mark into the game, and it goes as follows. You make it to the big boss with your friends and engage in this epic two-stage boss fight. At the end of the second phase, the original Solstice warriors decide to all of a sudden betray you in a way that wasn't really foretold, so it's a genuinely great surprise. I mean, they kind of mumble between each other earlier on in the game, but it's not in any way obvious what they had planned. After a short discussion of betrayal where they open a portal for their weird unnamed warriors to show up and kind of all laugh together and walk off into the sunset. Before they leave, however, they resurrect the Dweller of Strife, and that's in all capital red letters. Your new friend and the camouflaged pirate captain, also named Sarai, somehow knew about this plot twist and didn't say literally anything until it was too late. And this is a point that really isn't elaborated on even 4 hours later into the game. Like, no one is asking the question of why didn't you say anything when we were adventuring together for the previous 2-ish hours, bro. Anyway, you make it back and save the port town of Brisk from certain doom and make your way after them, but are in need of a ship, so you hunt down the Vespertine, which is a ghost ship that is bound to a ghost captain named Stormcaller, and without him being dead, you can't sail away after the goons. But the area surrounding Stormcaller's so-called lair is surrounded by 3 weird lightning rods that have to be destroyed one at a time. You defeat Stormcaller and his pet dragon, which I do have to say has a more than questionable attack that is almost unblockable and pretty much just kills anyone from the group almost instantly. I mean, it's borderline on the unfair side of gaming, but hey, I digress. I played it on easy. Now, you free the Vespertine of evil ghost clutches, and with control of the new ship, you now set out northeast of the original port town to build a new settlement. Cue the building montage. You know what doesn't need a montage? Is subscribing to the channel. Go on, click that button down below. It's red and shiny. Also, it's free. If you liked the video so far, please do consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, my broski. I would really appreciate it. And as equivalent exchange works, I gift you mediocre humor at best for you subscribing to the channel. So yeah, come on, broski, come on. Let's get back to the video. Ciao. Now keep in mind, this is about 10 to 11-ish hours into the game, and here it kind of shifts a little bit. You get given a map and a general direction to go to, which is surprising considering, well, that the game has been super linear up until now. It takes a very original Ni no Kuni approach to this shift, where all of a sudden the map opens up and you're free to explore. But instead of a dragon to ride upon, you have a ghost ship, but doesn't really look like a ghost ship though. Now, while this isn't a big map by any means, it's nice enough to have the option of drifting around on your apparently rear-wheel drive pirate ship. Bro, that shit drifts. You're also introduced to ultimate attacks, which can be fired off after pulling enough combo attacks first. Now these are cool and all, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows if you catch my drift. The actual pacing in the first half of the game is great. You meet new characters, acquire new abilities, and you slowly but surely make your way towards the overarching goal of catching these people who did you wrong. Now, I want to make this perfectly clear. No game is inherently perfect. There's no such thing. I think the way to like a game fully is to acknowledge and accept faults, but still be willing to overlook these faults, because the overall experience still comes out on top. Now, with that being said, man, oh man, did this game test my patience at specific points, especially in the final half of the game. The final arc in the story has you doing fetch quests all over, and the kind of plot twists are still good. I mean, the devs just didn't want the game to end, or it feels that way. As soon as you might think the end is coming and the credits are about to roll, you get given yet another quest to do or big boss to fight. Now the game tries to alleviate this by having the group split up and do certain quests in smaller groups, but this just ends up making the game more difficult, as you still have to do the fetch quests from everybody's point of view, but just this time it's in pairs of 2 members. There's even one point in the game where I'm pretty sure the developers knew about this stretching of the story, and they just have one boss hand you the item that you need, citing that they really don't want to fight you in any way. For me personally, this kind of overall stretching destroys the emotional cues from earlier on in the game. You go through this immensely emotional segment in the game, and you have the main heroes kind of going through this montage of recovering their mental health before setting out into the world, just to have you do some weird side objectives to complete the main objective. In the end, it just kind of feels like, bro, we get it. Like, just let us finish the game, right? For a game that could have lasted probably, let's say, 15 hours, it instead ends up lasting for like 23, maybe 24 hours because of the slightly unnecessary questing you have to do to advance to the big bad boss of the game. The second half of the game essentially boils down to you have to access a certain place to progress the story, but to do so, you have to collect 3 parts of something to make a key or item to be able to progress in the story. This seems fine and all until you get to one of these parts, and then to get one of the 3 original parts, you have to clear 3 rooms or 3 floors or collect 3 items to make one of the original items, which you need 3 of. Like, everything comes in 3s in this game, and that's literally not even a joke. Now granted, most JRPGs I've played do this, and while this might not be a straight up JRPG, it does borrow heavily from trope scene in the genre. There are positives to this drawn out ending though. I mean, the art style well and truly delivers in every way, shape and form. The final act goes above and beyond in terms of trying different things, and the art style really delivers. The music as well, oh my goodness. My personal favorite is by far the Evil theme song. It just works, bro. I have that shit on repeat when I'm working at the office. Speaking of Evil, man, the further the story goes along, the sadder it gets, in all honesty. It's absolutely filled with surprisingly dark concepts and makes you think about what is inherently good and what is not. Those parts of the stretched out second half are good though. The twists and turns along the journey are very nice, albeit some of them you can kind of see coming. But overall, yeah, bro, what seems from the outset as a fun journey throughout takes a dark and twisted turn. And honestly, I'm here for it, broski. I love shifts in tone in gaming in general. At the end of the day, did I like the game? Yes, absolutely. I mean, this pulled me away from playing Starfield or Baldur's Gate 3, so if that's anything to go by, then yes, one could say it's a great title overall. But I do want to heavily emphasize on the fact that the second half of the game might really push people away, because there were honestly times I literally sighed at having to go collect yet another key from somewhere or go defeat yet another impossibly difficult enemy. Like, one can do these things only so many times before it becomes more of a chore, so I do wish the game overall had some variety in the questing. It's not bad, but it's something worth considering when you're playing this game. Anyway, these were my retrospective opinions on how the game overall pans out, and they are exactly that, my thoughts. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Let's start a conversation, because I am genuinely interested to know what you guys think of this game on the second half especially. That pretty much wraps it up for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, be sure to click the like button down below, subscribe to the channel also. We are on the fast track, not really a fast track, but we are on the track to the greatness of the tubes. I would really appreciate appreciate you guys being along for the ride, because it gets freaking lonely. Anyway, I do hope you guys have a great day wherever you're from, whichever time of day you watch this at. My teeth just clicked. Bye.